Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Bo McBrayer here for Fantasy Pros, and I have your top 7 waiver wire additions for week 15. But first, if you want a chance to win a signed Jackson Smith and Jigba Seahawks helmet for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com, all you need to do is head to fantasypros.com/contest, complete the form, and either download the Fantasy Pros My Playbook app, leave a review for the podcast, or follow us on X, Instagram, or TikTok at Fantasy Pros. The more actions you complete, the more entries you receive. We will be announcing a winner right here on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Leading off at number 7, a little bit of a surprise. This list is full of running backs. There's a couple others, but running back is the hot commodity. We had lots of injuries pop up this last week. And at number 7, not due to injury per se, but due to being back from a fake injury made up by his previous head coach. I'm talking about New Orleans Saints second-year running back Kendre Miller. Kendre Miller is a stud. He was awesome at TCU. He was the alpha omega lead dog back on that TCU national championship run team. He was put on the IR by Dennis Allen, and there was a lot of debate from the coaching staff that remained in New Orleans whether or not it was just Dennis Allen being a turd and dropping his least favorite football player or person on the IR just so he didn't have to put him on the field. Kendre Miller looked healthy last week. He earned 1/3 of the snaps behind Alvin Kamara in that backfield. I don't know how much the Saints want to keep running Alvin Kamara out there on the field with a lost season. Derek Carr broke his hand. He's going to be out for probably the rest of the year. Chris Olave and Taysom Hill are already out. Kendre Miller could be in for a gigantic workload coming up in the fantasy playoffs against a pretty favorable schedule. And the Saints might be dead, but I think they might be running the ball too. If Jake Haener is the quarterback, I love Jake Haener, but Kendre Miller is a great back who just scored a touchdown in his first game off the injured reserve. Dennis Allen is going to get the double birds. Kendre Miller is going to ball out. And I think that even though he's 4% rostered on Yahoo leagues, he's worth a couple bucks a fab to throw in a starting flex spot, especially if we hear reports that Alvin Kamara's workload, he just signed an extension this year. They probably want to keep him fresh for the off season so we don't get any weird, serious injuries for their star running back. I think Kendre Miller could be a diamond in the rough for fantasy, especially down the stretch in the playoffs here. At number 6, the only wide receiver on this list, and you can go out and get guys like Nick Westbrook-Ikine, rest in peace. I told you I cursed him. 1 catch last week, woof. Yeah, sorry about that, but I'm not going to advocate for NWI anymore. That's just not smart. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. It's not just a slot merchant. He's Elijah Moore. And we learned that Jerry Jeudy is actually quite good. We couldn't quite see it in Denver with their situation. And I don't think Sean Payton liked him very much. Well, they love him in Cleveland. They especially love him now that Jameis Winston is the starting quarterback and not Deshaun Watson, because he is raising all the stakes here. And Jameis Winston is on this list too, but Elijah Moore at wide receiver, not just a slot merchant. He gets the upside from Jameis Winston's really aggressive play. And honestly, on tape, Elijah Moore is routing them up. He's 28% rostered. You need to go out there and get him because he's got a lot of upside. They've been taking deep shots to Jeudy and to Elijah Moore, who's a very strong route runner, great hands, big play ability. This Cleveland Browns offense is exciting. Fantasy is it's about exciting plays, explosive plays, and the Browns do provide that. At number 5 is Mr. Eaton W's himself, Jameis Winston. I'm ready for another barrage, another scoring barrage like we saw against the Steelers, or against the Broncos, I should say. He only scored 15 points last week against the Steelers. Against the Denver Broncos, an elite defense, 497 yards, threw 3 touchdowns. He did throw 2 pick sixes, but guess what? In fantasy, those don't hurt us that bad. Fantasy points are scored more on touchdowns and yards. Jameis Winston provides both of those in abundance, especially when you're not playing a tough defense like the Steelers every week. Great receiving core with Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy. And don't forget about Mr. Touchdown Machine himself, David Njoku. This receiving core is great. Not just good, great. And Kevin Stefanski, I think it was Deshaun Watson who was bad, because Kevin Stefanski before Watson was good and post Watson has been good. He's in his bag, as the kids say. So I'm all wheels up for the Cleveland Browns offense going forward. They're going to score a lot of points. And remember, Jameis Winston's the only 30-30 man in the NFL history when he was back with the Bucs and Mike Evans. He can put up huge fantasy numbers as a streaming quarterback for the rest of the season. Don't be surprised. Go out there and get him for yourself. Don't let your opponents get their grubby hands on him. Take the guesswork out of waiver wire decisions with FantasyPros Waiver Assistant. Get instant analysis on potential moves from over 100 fantasy experts. Discover both the weekly and rest of season impact for every waiver ad. Visit fantasypros.com/myplaybook or download the Fantasy Football My Playbook app to optimize your roster today. And we're going to wrap up this list with 4 running backs. They do matter. In fantasy, they do matter, especially when all season long we've talked about wide receiver injuries. We've been adding a lot more wide receivers off waivers than ever before, at least as long as I can remember. Waiver wire has always been about running back attrition and filling in the gaps where you need to. Well, all of those running back injuries seem to have happened at once, and so we finally get to dip into that bag of replacement running backs. This week they are in abundance, and you can order them however you'd like. This is my order. At number 4, Jets running back Isaiah Davis. And I told you last week that Isaiah Davis was going to get some run. I was right. I told you so. Braylon Allen is a one-trick pony. He's a powerful back, great on the goal line. He doesn't do much else. He's not fast. He's not explosive. He's not a good receiver. He's not even that good in pass pro. Isaiah Davis out of South Dakota State is a great rookie, versatile running back, great receiver. We saw that last week. He scored touchdowns in consecutive games. Braylon Allen vultured a couple touchdowns from Breece Hall. Well, Breece Hall is hurt. He was seen getting an MRI on his knee. That's not good news for a team that's already been eliminated for the 14th straight season. The Jets are a mess. I don't think Breece Hall comes back. They're not going to officially put him on the shelf, but I don't think they're going to make him active for the rest of the season. It's going to be Braylon Allen, and it's going to be Isaiah Davis. Isaiah Davis is more versatile than Braylon Allen. He's faster too, better receiver. And we saw that very even split in the carries and the snaps between Allen and Davis. I prefer Davis in fantasy. Go for it. Braylon Allen's already pretty much rostered everywhere. It's not sneaky anymore because we just saw Isaiah Davis score touchdowns in consecutive weeks, but I have him at number 4 this week. At number 3, the 49ers. Somebody else has to pick up the musket because running back 1, Christian McCaffrey, dunzo. Number 2, Elijah Mitchell, never knew you this season. Number 3, rookie Isaac Guerrero, hurt his foot. I'm sorry, I skipped over Jordan Mason. Number 3, Jordan Mason, out for at least 4 weeks. And then you had, see, it's just sad because all 4 of the top 4 running backs for the 49ers have gone down to injury. I don't know that Guerrero's is serious. He has a sprained foot. The problem is the 49ers play on Thursday night against the Rams, and that's a very quick turnaround for a guy who left the game and didn't come back. Guerrero, if he's ready for Thursday, I don't think they put him on the full workload like before on Sunday. And Patrick Taylor, he's been in this position before. We just saw it last year when Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon went down. It was Patrick Taylor who carried the work for the Packers. He did very well. It's a quick turnaround against the Rams, who don't stop the run particularly well. The 49ers and their Shanahanigans love to run the ball, and they're good at it. So put Patrick Taylor in your lineup. He's the next man up. He's got the bayonet waving. Hopefully he can stay healthy. You might see Izzy Abanikanda get some activation here, but he just joined the team. It's going to take a while to be back in the swing of things. So even if Izzy is ready, he's a big play merchant. I just don't know if he has the reps under his belt for the 49ers to warrant any kind of merit at this point in the season. At number 2 is a guy who probably is rostered in your league. If he's not, he needs to be. Tank Bigsby, the real starting running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, ETN is the more exciting player, but ETN doesn't run pure. He doesn't catch the ball well. He doesn't do pass pro. He's just fast. He doesn't have great vision. He just makes big plays sporadically. Tank Bigsby is pure. He makes big plays. Sometimes he scores more touchdowns because he's a thumper at the goal line where ETN is not. And honestly, the Jags just got their 3rd win of the season in an unwatchable slog against the Tennessee Titans. Tank Bigsby looked like the only identity the Jags had. If they want a physical identity, they're gonna circle the wagons around Tank Bigsby and Brian Thomas Jr. That's all they have left at this point. So go get Tank Bigsby if he's available. Spend a lot of fab on him. He's good. He's going to get 15 points pretty much the rest of the time, 10 to 15 points. That'll play in a flex spot in the fantasy playoffs. At number 1, sincerely again, McCormick, the UTSA guy. The Raiders like him. Antonio Pierce likes him. You know why? Because everybody else is terrible. The only guy with wiggle and shake in this entire backfield. Zamir White, no wiggle and shake. He's a power back, and he's been hurt. Alexander Madison, absolutely no wiggle, no shake, no broke tackles, barely catches the ball. Don't know why he's on the team. He's also been hurt. Could we be in for another Zamir White at the end of 2023 run, where he got all the carries because Antonio Pierce liked him? I think so. Sincere McCormick is fast. He's got great one-cut ability, big playability. He went to UTSA, which is basically Track Star USA for the non-Power 5 conference players. UTSA has been churning out great athletes for years now. Sincere McCormick is part of that. He's just a better running back at this point than anybody else the Las Vegas Raiders have. So I'm going to go out there and add him and start him for the 2nd week in a row. And I'll probably keep it going because he's going to get enough volume to pay the bills. All right, that has been my Week 15 Top 7 Waiver Wire additions for Fantasy Pros. Join me for the semifinals next week, Week 16. I hope you survive to see the tale. Thank you.